Welcome back to another episode of Dubai or Not Dubai. Today we are going to be recapping the numbers from the first half of 2025 in comparison to 2024. We're going to jump straight into it, do some comparisons, percentages, which I think will be interesting for you guys as potential investors here in Dubai. It's going to be a quick video, quick fire, and then we're also going to touch a little bit upon the word crash, but I'll come back to that a little bit later. So basically, jumping straight into it, last year there were just over 233 billion dirhams worth of property transaction sales here in Dubai, and that was just in the first half of last year. Jump forward to this year, in the first half of 2025, there were just over 326 billion dirhams worth of property transaction sales in the market, and that is actually just over a 40% increase, which is absolutely huge if we're looking at year-on-year growth in the Dubai real estate market. But not only that, there has been a 22% increase in the amount of transactions that have actually happened. So last year there were just over 80,000 transactions that happened in the first half of 2024. This year that has jumped all the way up to 98,000, which tells us a couple of things. Obviously the prices have increased in Dubai in terms of how many properties are sold in comparison to what we've achieved here, but that also means that people are still buying regardless of this number going up. Which brings me on to the big word that everybody is talking about in Dubai real estate, which is crash. Is the market going to crash? If you base everything off numbers, the quick and final answer is no. However, do I personally think that there is due to be a market correction? Absolutely. And what I mean by that is, instead of Dubai continuing to go up like it is here, I do think eventually at some point within the next 12 to 18 months, we might potentially see this, maybe a little bit of this, maybe even still this, but I do think this correction is needed. When people talk about Dubai, they talk about how expensive it is, which I get, but in comparison to other countries and other global cities that do well in the real estate market, and I have done a previous video on this, Dubai still sits really high up in terms of the actual value that you get for price per square foot. So even though you may be looking at all of these properties and thinking the price per square foot has gone up so much, why would I even think about selling or buying right now? The buying aspect is really simple, and it's really easy because the numbers prove that people are still continuing to buy because there is still room for growth. And even if this does happen, or even if that did happen here, Dubai bounces back every single time from something global that has happened that has then therefore impacted the property market. That's something to keep your eye on and something to really remember. But based on the numbers, it doesn't make sense for it to crash unless there was something global that happened, like in 2020, like in 2014. It is still incredibly safe, and also there's still so much money to be made in the Dubai real estate market. These numbers right here, this massively proves that. Obviously we're going into the second half, we're going into the summer months. Sometimes it does dip off slightly during summer. That's simply because there isn't enough or as many bodies or numbers actually in Dubai, and that's mainly for the secondary market. But the off-plan market is still very much dominating the industry in terms of numbers of transactions that happen, and also this split off-plan dominates this massively over secondary. So it's just something to think about. If you're interested more to deep dive into these numbers, I also do have a very specific deep dive into off-plan versus secondary, whether it's still a good time to invest, and if it is, which it is, what you should be investing your money in. I know this video is super short, but that's basically me wrapped up for today. Next week I'm going to take you along for another day in the life. It's going to be super exciting, so stay tuned. And remember, if you have any questions about the Dubai real estate market, like, share, subscribe, and also my number for WhatsApp and Instagram handle is in the bio.